everyone, welcome to my show, Expect Checked. I'm Huang Fang Elizabeth. Well, we all know that tonight we'll have him back to share some of his true stories. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back Dave. Say hi.
Hi, Guangzhou and Elizabeth. Thank you for having me back on your show again.
Do you miss us?
A little bit.
Yeah. Good. So bring more of your interesting stories. Then how did you convince your family that, oh, I'm going to make this for my lifetime career?
It wasn't until I started to actually become a little successful that they accepted it.
Oh.
I kind of didn't tell them for many years. I was kind of doing it on the sneak, you know,
Okay.
when they didn't notice, kind of thing.
And then that day came, and boom!
And I'm like, see, I'm doing it, you know.
Yeah.
And they're proud of me. So that's great. They are proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
My sister is my biggest fan.
Oh.
Yeah, she loves my work. She's my biggest fan. She looks forward to everything that I do.
Oh.
You know, even if I think it's not so good, my sister's like, yes, but you did it. I think it's great.
Oh,
So,
the little princess of the
yeah,
family.
I have a little
Your big
fan in my, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, how did you describe your art style?
Actually, I have a couple of different art styles. I work with different medias in the art. I work with painting, oil painting. I also do sculptures and photography. Basically, my work is about capturing the simple moments in life.
Oh, I love it.
You know, most people, they think art should be about the grand things, the great things, just the beauty of life. And I believe that art can be about anything.
Yes.
Anything could be art. And so when I go through my day, when I go through life, I see those things sometimes. I'm looking at something, I'm going, that would make a great painting, or that would make a great photograph, or I could see that in a sculpture. That's how I view my life every day. So it's those things that we don't think about, the simple stuff, that is so part of our life that we ignore it.
You know, tiny little thing that counts.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we don't think about them because we see it so much. We're like, oh.
Sometimes people just take them for granted.
Right.
And will just ignore all these beauty moments in life.
And sometimes I'll be working on a piece of art and people go, I don't see it. And then when it's done, they go, oh, okay. Now I see what you were thinking about.
Because this is part of my life.
Yeah. You know, it's my vision of life.
Okay. And here are some of your favorite.
This is some of my work from my show.
So your
my newest show.
So shall
now
we
this
start
work
with
is different than my work in the past. This work is influenced by pop art, artists of the 50s and 60s, people like Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein. And most of this work is kind of influenced by Lichtenstein, who he painted large cartoons. He would take a comic book and he would enlarge it into these large paintings, holding on to his inner child inside of himself, something that you know, would normally throw away as an adult.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm doing here. These paintings are designed as color by numbers. And so what I do is I take parts of life and I design them as color by numbers. And it's a 3-step process. I start off where I lay the canvas down and I paint all the lines like a Chinese line painting, keeping the brush at the form and making the lines.
The brushes.
I use the brushes
to create all the outlines first.
And then I paint the canvas blue. And the blue is underneath, and that represents the sadness and the depression in life.
Yeah, I just want to ask. I just was wondering that why blue? It's a little bit too depressing.
Well, but that's why I paint it underneath, because then on top I paint very colorful colors.
Okay.
Very bright colors on top, almost childlike colors.
Yes.
You know, use very bright childlike colors.
Yeah.
And I paint them not using you know, the typical just one stroke. I actually hold the brush like a child and I stroke the paint across.
Yeah.
Given that childlike look. And you can see the blue kind of in the background a little bit.
You can still feel that blue background.
You can still feel the blue.
Yeah.
But you see the bright colors on the top, and they're designed like color by numbers.
Yeah.
And this art was meant to mix together Chinese art and Western art.
Yeah.
I was looking for something new, something different, because that's in Western art. That's what we do. We're always looking for the new, for something different. If we all did the same, then who would buy it? You know. So that's what I've done here, and I have some of my work here.
Yes, because this one is very Chinese, very typical.
That is
this one.
Pretty Chinese.
Yeah, we can see this. This is a special skill we need to print the cloth.
I use that style of design to make the fish in the river, and this is Qingyuan.
Qingyuan.
Right.
Okay.
This is Qingyuan. You take the boat to the temple in Qingyuan, which is the oldest temple in Guangdong.
Yeah.
So you can see the temple here.
Yeah.
And you see them,
temple.
even the buildings are very childlike, you know, like they're drawn by a child.
Yeah.
The lines are very simple, very plain.
Simple lines and color by number, and also this bright, bold color.
But actually, the colors are very complex. In most of my paintings where I use like green, I mix the paint, so I use as many different shades of green as possible.
Oh, yeah.
So the more shades of green, the better. In one of my paintings, I used 22 different shades of green.
Wow.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time mixing all these green colors to make sure I get all these different shades of green.
So that means green is your most favorite color?
Not really, but green represents nature and life.
Nature and life.
Right. So green represents the beauty and the nature. And blue represents the sadness.
Yeah.
And in my paintings, I use a lot of orange and red. Orange and red represent fire, which represents life or death. And I leave it to the viewer to decide which one it is. If they think the red in this painting represents life, or if they think that it represents death in another painting, they get to decide for themselves. So colors mean a lot to me as an artist. I use my colors very carefully in the way that I place them. And this painting here with the fish, I'm talking about the beautiful landscapes that you see in China. China has some great, beautiful landscapes.
Yes, landscapes.
But I use the fish to describe the pollution in the water.
Yeah, we can see that we just only have the fish skeleton.
Right, they're just skeletons of the fish. So
yeah.
They kind of describe the pollution of the water that you get in China. But like I said, again, in a very childlike type of way.
Yes, very. And also this one is very, I would like to say, very Jiangnan view, right?
Yes, that's Jiangnan. That's actually from a painting.
This bridge and these people with the umbrella and this typical tiny little house.
This was taken from a painting done by Sushi. And it's called Spring Rain on Jiangnan River.
Oh, I see.
And
but we can't see any rain.
No, I didn't paint the rain.
You just see the umbrella.
I didn't paint the rain, right. And actually there was no mountains in the original painting.
Yeah.
I have this thing about adding mountains to my paintings for some reason now. I don't know where the mountains come from. Maybe because I see lots of mountains in China.
Yeah, but not too much high mountains in Jiangnan area.
No, not too many high mountains in Jiangnan area.
Yeah.
But the original painting was done in ink. All black with a white background. And I kept some of the tradition. I kept some of the basic designs for the painting. And the only differences I made was I used very bright colors, and of course I added the mountains. But keep it in the Chinese tradition, I didn't paint the whole canvas. The scenery behind the mountains and the scenery down at the bottom here is all left blank. Which is a typical of a Chinese painting, where they only paint in the areas they want to paint.
We leave some blank space.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's no reason to paint the whole canvas if you don't have to. And so I left some blank space in order to respect the art in which I was taking it from. And it's one of my favorite pieces from the show.
You did it. You did it. Yeah. And this one is a little bit abstract.
A little abstract.
A little.
I went a little bit back to my abstract.
Yeah.
This is called Pueblos Blancos.
Oh.
It means white houses. And this is a village in the south of Spain.
Oh, Spain.
This is a village in the south of Spain.
They have little red roof.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's unique about this village is all the villages have all these white houses. And there's stores there. But if you go by yourself, you can't find the stores. You have to go with a tour group, and they take you into these stores, and they're in people's houses.
Oh.
So you'll be walking through the store, and you'll walk through their living room, and people will be sitting eating dinner, and you're like, hey, how you doing? And you walk past into their store.
The door is over there.
Yeah, the door is over there. So, but I painted this painting without painting the lines of the houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that on purpose because I wanted people to use their imagination about what they saw. And some people look at it and go, oh, I see 30 houses. And some people say, I see 50 houses. And some people say, oh, I only see 20 houses. That's the uniqueness about this type of painting.
Yeah.
Is it really expands the imagination.
Yes.
And how you're looking at something is totally up to you.
Yeah.
And that's why this is absolutely my favorite from the show. This painting right here.
This is great. That means we can see a lot of houses sticking together, and they are all alike. So
yes.
You got to explore for your store.
Yes, you have to explore, or you can get very lost.
Yeah, this is quite fun. And this one, again, I would like to say it's very Picasso.
This is actually a self-portrait of myself.
Your self-portrait?
That's my self-portrait.
So that means the 3 sides of you, or the 3 different periods of your lifetime?
It's the 3 stages of life. I study psychology, so you learn about... I don't know if that's a good thing, but you learn about the 3 stages of life, which is youth, middle age, and old age.
Okay.
So this painting represents the 3 stages of my life. And there's 13 stripes, which represent the 13 stripes in the American flag. Because I served in the Army.
Yeah.
And you can see there's different things inside of each stripe. And you see some words like broken, pain, death. And it kind of talks about my experiences in the Army, traveling around the world, my experiences growing up, my experiences since I've been in China. It's kind of all put into that one painting.
Oh, but I'm sorry, I have to say that they don't really look very like you now, because, yeah, as I can see, here is a very open and talkative, energetic, and very sunshine person. But the picture shows us as quite a sad and depressed.
Well, my life is kind of like my painting.
No.
This is the outside me, what people see.
Okay.
And I think the portrait kind of is my blue.
The inner you, the blue
That's my
you,
blue.
the blue Dave.
Yeah,
Okay, so maybe you can let us share a little bit about your Army life.
I served 14 years in the Army.
14 years in the Army?
14 years in the Army.
How old were you when you joined the Army?
I was 23 when I joined the Army. I joined in 1990, and I went to the first Gulf War.
Wow.
In 1990.
Oh.
I've also been to Bosnia, and I did search and rescue at the World Trade Center during 9/11.
Oh. So you are really a hero then?
No.
Have you ever been to the front line of the battlefield?
Once.
Once.
One time.
When
and that
where?
was enough for me.
When and where?
When I was in Iraq. I was in the front line one time. And it really wasn't, I mean, we didn't have to use our weapons or anything. They actually, during that time, during the Iraqi war, the soldiers were so starving, they were pretty much giving themselves up just to get some food and some medical attention. So I really didn't have a hard time in the Iraqi war during the first one. Now, I mean, the soldiers over there are having a hard time, but the first time around it wasn't that bad. Not as bad as it is now. I was in Bosnia, and I've seen some things in Bosnia. I've lost some friends over the years during the war and during peacetime also, and training for war. And I think that probably my most sad kind of moment was the World Trade Center.
World Trade Center.
Going to war is one thing, but when war goes to your hometown, I mean, I grew up in New York. And experiencing that where I live, where I grew up, was kind of depressing for me and very sad for me. It was probably the saddest moment of my life to see that happen. And I spent 3 weeks down there doing search and rescue.
3 weeks in the complex?
Right.
Oh.
Doing search and rescue. And I got injured. I broke my neck.
Broke your neck?
I broke my neck.
How?
The American Express building, which is building 7, I believe. The front of that building was falling down, and we were trying to get out, and I fell over and hurt my neck. So.
Was it very bad?
Didn't know I hurt it at first, actually. The bone just kind of twisted a little bit.
Was it very painful? And
I felt the pain in my lower back. And so the doctors kept looking at my lower back. They couldn't understand why I had pain in my lower back.
Yeah.
And then a couple of weeks later, finally a doctor said, let's look at your neck.
Oh,
and so they looked at my neck and they noticed the problem. And they tried to fix it with physical therapy and with some other treatments, and it didn't work. So I ended up having the surgery where I have a plate in my neck that holds it together. And unfortunately, because of that situation, I had to retire from the Army, which was kind of sad for me because I had planned to spend 20 years.
Yeah.
So I retired from the Army, and then I went back to school, got my second degree in art, and while I was in school, I was visiting China as part of an exchange program, and they offered me a job, a chance to come here and teach, and I said, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I'm retired. I got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
But
looking back all those sad and hard days in your Army life, what would you like to
Well,
say
they weren't
now?
all sad and hard.
Not all of them.
No, I mean, being in the Army is not easy. You work full days. I mean, we get up at 4:30 in the morning, and we're going until sometimes 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, maybe later. So you're up early, you exercise in the morning, you work a full day. I was going to school at night.
Oh.
I was going to school for my degree in business, and I was also studying criminology, so I'm going to school at night, I'm working full days, I'm getting up early in the morning, I'm traveling around the world.
So you're a Superman!
No, I'm not the only person. There's, 500,000 other soldiers.
All your buddies are doing the same.
Right. But it's a full day. It's a very busy day. And so a lot of us have families, and you're traveling a lot. The one great thing I loved about the Army was the traveling and the living in different countries. I've lived in Germany. I've lived in Korea. I was stationed in Egypt for a while. I was stationed in Iraq. I was in Japan. I was in England. And I got to travel to other countries while I lived in these places.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful to be somewhere, and like I lived in Germany, I could just take the train to anywhere in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
So it was wonderful to do that. And you meet so many great people all around the world. And it was a really good experience. It taught me a lot. And the great thing about it is I use those experiences in my art.
Yeah.
So they reflect who I am.
You keep observing and capturing all these tiny little beautiful moments of life, and then they became all your inspiration of your work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was hard. I mean, it was difficult to do my art and be in the Army. And now that I'm out and I'm retired and I'm doing art, and people go, how do you go from being a soldier to an artist?
Yeah.
And I go, no, I was always an artist. I just did soldier for a little while.
Yeah.
People find it a hard change, like, wait a minute, you were a soldier and now you're an artist and an art teacher?
This is a totally quite different, extremely different concept. It's hard to combine this in one person. And finally, you got your own direction. I should go this way.
Actually, it's still kind of guiding me a little bit. I never expected to be a teacher. I mean, it just kind of happened. But I love it. I love teaching. I love the fact that students come to me later on and say, thank you for what you taught me.
Are you teaching them drawing, painting?
Starting next semester, I'm teaching drawing and Western art history. And next year, I'll be signing a contract with the design department of the school to teach in the design department, which is
what
very
kind
nice.
of design?
Actually, I'm going to teach the business part of design and some basic design. I'll also continue to teach drawing and art history, and I teach English also. So I'll be doing a little bit of different kinds of classes.
Yeah. And
But
I
it's
also
exciting.
know that you are not a teacher and a painter only. Actually, you started some recent years. You started to be a photographer and sculptor.
Um, I have been doing photography. Photography is one of my other big types of art that I do.
Oh.
I love to take pictures of everything I can. In fact, I spent a month on the buses going around America just taking pictures.
Wow.
I just stayed on the bus. I would get off to take a shower and change, and then get back on the bus, and I just traveled across the United States
So what
taking
were your
photos.
subjects? Landscapes or people?
Mostly landscapes, some people. I was taking pictures out of the window of the bus. I was capturing America through the bus.
Wow.
People thought I was crazy, like, you lived on a bus for 30 days?
American on the move.
Yeah.
American on the move.
Pretty much. So I did photography for a very long time. I just recently got back into oil painting. I do sculptures. Most of my sculptures are made with wood and things like that. I started to do some paper cutting sculptures.
Oh.
After visiting China. I learned
so you
a
know
little
how
bit about
to do the paper cutting?
I learned how to, well, not with the scissors.
Yeah.
I do the very old style where you lay it down and you puncture the holes, and it takes forever, let me tell you.
Yeah, with a needle.
Well,
Puncture
it's
the
a little flat, like, blade. And
yeah,
you just
the blade.
you push through.
Ah.
So I do it that way. It takes a lot longer.
Yeah. Who taught you this?
Actually, I had to watch. I went to Foshan, which has the paper cutting factory.
Yeah.
And we visited the factory, and I said to the lady, I said, this is very interesting. Is there a book?
Are they doing this with machine?
No, they're doing it with their hands.
With their hands.
And I said, is there a book that I could buy to learn paper cutting? And she goes, no, you have to come here and study for 3 years. I said, okay. I said, well, the little tools that you have, I said, can I buy them somewhere?
Yeah, the blade.
She goes, no, you must learn how to make them. I said, okay, well,
make your own tool.
Right. I said, well, can you teach me how to make these? She says, you must come here to study for 3 years. And I said, okay, can I come here and study? She goes, no, you're not Chinese.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
So I watched. I went to Foshan like 6 or 7 times, and I would spend an hour each time watching the girls doing this. And
you taught yourself?
Video recorded some of it with my. So I would keep watching and watching and watching.
Yeah.
And I practiced. And after a couple of months, I had the basics down. And I designed a couple of paper sculptures, which were 3-dimensional style paper sculptures.
That's great.
So I've done that, and now I'm doing some new work.
Oh.
I'm getting ready for my next work, which is going to be made of glass.
Glass? Glass sculpture?
Glass sculptures.
Ooh, I love it.
You know, when keeping in the theme of a childlike type of work.
Yeah?
You know, when you were little, you would buy these little wooden pop-outs, and you would pop out the pieces and put them together to make your little bird or something.
Yeah.
I'm designing sculptures in that fashion of this snap together, but they're going to be made of glass. Right now I'm designing some dowlos, and they're going to be 5 feet tall, and they lock together. No glue, no nails, no rope holding it together. All the pieces interlock together to make the sculpture.
Interlock together.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's going to be made strictly of glass. And so...
Are you going to do this in Jiangmen?
I'm going to do this
in
Jiangmen.
Or in Guangzhou?
Well, I hope one day Guangzhou.
Yeah, they will have a big crystal castle then.
I hope one day in Guangzhou. Right now, there's a competition coming up for the Wuyi artists who live in Wuyi area. And I'm going to do one for the show.
Oh.
And the design is going to be, it's going to be a dowlo, tall dowlo. And if anybody doesn't know what a dowlo is, they're Kaiping dowlos.
Diaolo.
Yeah, you can see the
Diaolo.
Diaolo.
Diaolo, not Dalo. Diaolo. Diaolo. Dalo means
Chinese
tall building. Diaolo.
Diaolo.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the front side will be cut out just like a regular Dao Lo, and it'll have the two sections.
Uh-huh.
But on the side
Uh-huh.
will be the definition of Dao Lo in letters, printed upside down, and there'll be a light that will shine the definition on the floor, and the people can stand back from the Dao Lo and read the definition on the floor.
Ooh.
So it's going to work with some lights and shadows, and it's all going to be made of glass, so it's going to be very exciting piece of work.
Oh, it's just amazing.
It's
I
something
can
new.
imagine that.
I'm kind of nervous. I mean, working with glass is very tricky.
So I suggest you to spend some time to explore some of the Asian architecture in Guangzhou, like Xiguan Dawu.
Xiguan Dawu, what's that?
This is kind of the old style of big house our ancestors
I've seen those. Okay.
Xiguan Dawu.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna love this, and next time you're gonna create a glass copy of that.
Maybe. I have to work on these. They're very difficult to work on because the truth is, I'm very bad at math. I am. I'm bad at math. But the strange thing is, I'm very good at making sculptures.
Yeah.
I understand, like, I couldn't tell you numbers for the life of me, but I could tell you how to design the sculpture so that it fits perfectly. And people go, how do you do that? I go, I don't know. I have no idea how I make this happen because I'm very bad at numbers.
We share something in common because when I'm talking about that old big houses in Xiguan, we have that kind of special old furniture. They don't have any nails or glues. They just interlock together.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is where I get some of my ideas from, is from the old way of making furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
Where they don't use nails and glues. Or
Actually, they didn't have nails at the time.
Right. And it's just an interesting way to design something like this because every piece has to fit perfectly.
Yes.
Every piece has to be exact, and if it's not, it won't work.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of preparation, a lot of design that goes into the sculptures. And I'm hoping they'll come out pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, I just can't help waiting to seeing that.
I hope so. I hope to, like I said, I hope one day to have some shows here in Guangzhou.
In Guangzhou, yeah.
I am looking forward to that. Having my show in Jiangmen actually was very exciting. As you know, I'm the first foreign artist to have the show in the Wuyi area.
Yeah.
So that was very exciting.
Is it quite overwhelming?
I was terrified. I was terrified. I don't usually get terrified at things. I was afraid of what people would say.
Yeah.
How people would review my art.
Yeah.
What they would think of it.
But we can see many kind of the Chinese or local symbol here, and I think people will love your art.
Actually, I had a lot of great reviews from my show.
Yeah.
A lot of artists who do oil painting in China said that, usually oil paintings are not well received in China. They're just starting to receive the appreciation.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much for sharing. And I hate to say goodbye, but we have to say that.
Well, I want to thank you for letting me come on the show again. And since it's close to Christmas, I know it's not the real painting, but I'm going to give you a photograph of your favorite painting from my exhibit.
Yeah, this is my favorite.
And on the back here it says, to Elizabeth, thanks for a great time. And my Chinese name.
Luo Dawei, your Chinese name. Oh, thank you, Dave.
That's for you.
It's so nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a very special gift for me. Thank you. Thank you again,
welcome.
Dave. And again, wish you have a wonderful life here in China.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your life.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And for our audience, and thank you for being so supportive. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Guangzhou English Channel.